What's up, everybody? I guess you already heard what this, I guess this song sounds familiar to anybody? Well, that's the point of my review. My next review is part 2 of The Karate Kid. Right here, folks. Oh, well, the plot's pretty much the same as the first, except it's more different this time. It's turning to the main point of Mr. Miyagi's backstory. Yes, okay, so the opening in the movie left off from the first Karate Kid after Daniel defeats the bully in a karate tournament. And then, you got, remember Kreese in the first Karate Kid, the evil sensei from the first Karate Kid that was training Johnny, the bully from the first one, from the first film, that's beating up Daniel and all that stuff. Yeah, well, the opening picks up from the first Karate Kid, the original, and then there's points where that Daniel mentions that Daniel, once again played by Ralph Macchio, and yes, Pat Morita's back again as Mr. Miyagi, the old wise Japanese maintenance man, handyman. Yes. Oh yeah. The movie's also directed once again by John Avildsen. And let's see now. After picking up bits and pieces from the first, where we left off from the first Karate Kid, now we're going into Okinawa, which Mr. Miyagi's mentioned a few times in the first movie. Yeah, and which brings me to my point of Miyagi's backstory and there's a scene where he's explaining to Daniel why he left Okinawa to come to America, because it turns out that like in a minute, I'm gonna get to the villains in a minute. A former friend of his who was arranged to marry a woman named Yuki, who actually is a woman who ends up falling in love with Mr. Miyagi, and one of the villains is Sato, Miyagi's former friend who wants to fight Miyagi to a karate match, and that's when Miyagi fled and left Sato dishonored. So, next couple of scenes later, and who brings Daniel with him back to Okinawa to, brings Daniel with him back to Okinawa to, the mourn, his dying father, who was also Sato's sensei. And not only Sato is the only villain in this movie, his nephew Chosen, who's been tormenting Daniel throughout the whole freaking movie. And so basically that's most of the plot so far. The main plot is, the whole plot is on Miyagi's backstory. Mr. Miyagi's backstory. Okinawa, dying father, fleeing to America to avoid a fight with Sato, which left him dishonored. Okay. Alright, so now let's see. Before I get to the villains, Now the love interest is pretty much the same. The love interest is pretty much cliche. It's cliche, you know. Got very skinny kid, you know, who meets a girl, falls in love, gets picked on by bullies, so cliche. Yeah, but it works for the movie. Yeah, so Yuki's niece, Kamiko, is the love interest of Daniel, which I also like. I also like the love interest in this one. For some reason, I'm more attracted to Kamiko than Allie in the first one. I'm not gonna lie, Allie was smoking hot, but I feel more attracted to Kamiko in this one. Yeah, so now the villains. Let's see, like I said, the villains, I mentioned Sato, who wants to fight Miyagi, you know, to defend his honor. Yes, and Chosen, who's been targeting Daniel throughout the entire movie, and so you're gonna have to, you know, bear with me because I'm still trying to get the hang of this review thing, okay? So anyway, so what do I think of the villains? They're not, well, to tell you the truth, they're not so original. I don't find anything original about the villains. So cliche. I mean, to tell you the truth, but Chosen was an asshole. Chosen was more of an asshole than Johnny was in the first, who was in the first Karate Kid. Yeah, Chosen was more ruthless. He was just plain evil. Subtle. Yeah, so like after a big storm, you know, after a really big storm that clashes with Okinawa, and then that's what makes Sato turn good. Sato towards the end turns good, you know, and I like that scene where Sato is begging Miyagi for forgiveness and they become friends again, and I like that. I like that idea. You know, Sato was evil from the start, and then he turns good after a storm, big storm. But Chosen was just plain rotten. He was just fucking rotten. And he wants to not only humiliate Daniel, he wants to kill him, literally. And I love the build-up of, you know, the build-up of, you know, the Daniel Miyagi story. I love that build-up. I love the build-up of the characters, you know. So, and now going towards, you know, the end of the movie where Kamiko is, you know, doing a you know, dance performance, you know, in this big, you know, inside castle thing, then back again. Then just when we thought we'd never see Chosen again, bam, just like that, he's back again. And this time he challenges Daniel to a fight to the death. And man, that was intense. I have to say that fight between Daniel and Chosen was intense. But I love the part but my favorite part is where, like when Miyagi humiliates Kreese earlier with the nose tweak, Daniel pulls off the same move, which was kind of funny. This is quite funny. I bought that. I bought it. Yeah, I bought it. Yeah, so the acting was great. The acting was pretty good. Mr. Miyagi's always at his best. He's always on top of his game. And I give Miyagi that, you know. Mr. Miyagi is always at the top of his game. And Daniel was likable in this one too. I like Daniel in this one too. And I was also drawn into the love interest too. I was drawn into a few scenes where he has with with Kamiko. You know. But the part where but sometimes, Daniel's pretty good at getting himself in trouble, getting himself set up by, for Chosen to come after him and his boys to come after him by walking into a bar full of rough, tough guys, breaking ice and this and that, So, yeah, there you have it. And yeah. So and after after an embrace, before the rolling credits, there's a scene. It's almost a scene, but it doesn't freeze up to like the first one, where it shows the last, touching scene of Mr. Miyagi, a whole scene of Mr. Miyagi before rolling credits. Oh, and I'm not gonna count this scene out too in the middle of the movie where after Miyagi's father dies, he's emotional. Mr. Miyagi's an emotional guy, and I like that scene. Scene where Daniel, mentions that his father dies, and talking about his father, he hasn't how much time with his father, and whatever, and Daniel's mourning with Miyagi, the loss of his father, and I like that scene. It was beautiful, beautiful sunset, it's gorgeous. I loved it. I love this scene. Yeah, but like I said about the villain, the Chosen, was one rotten son of a bitch. A mean, rotten, nasty dude. Yeah, and so is Sato, which later he turns good, like I said. Yeah, so what else is to say about the Karate Kid Part 2? I enjoyed it. I mean, it's not as good as the first, but it's worth the watch. Karate Kid Part 2 is worth the watch. If none of you haven't seen it, check it out. Look it up on YouTube or rent on Netflix, whatever. Or you can walk into a Best Buy store and get buy it for a couple $. Oh, and yes, I have not forgotten about the Karate Kid Part 3. Oh, that's right. I already reviewed the Karate Kid Part 3. Man, that movie fucking sucked. It was laughable. Karate Kid 3 was fucking laughable. Yeah, I reviewed the Karate Kid Part 3, and what can I say? It was laughable. But, I said, check it out, and that's what's more to say about this movie. It's great. Oh yeah, when I was listening to The Glory of Love, during the rolling credits, that song called The Glory of Love that plays during the rolling credits, works for the movie. It works. I enjoyed it. Yeah, so that's it. That's my review on the Karate Kid Part 2, and here's my shout out to the ReviewKingMB, and leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. As always, leave your comments below, and until next time, see you later.